Welcome to the deep dive, where we cut through the noise and really unlock the hidden gems from the sources you share with us. Today, we're taking a magnifying glass to something truly foundational, literally to your entire look, makeup foundation. You've given us an incredible stack of material guides, reviews, research, all about picking and applying foundation for, well, flawless skin. So, our mission today is to distill those key insights, give you a shortcut, really, to feeling informed and confident. Whether you're tweaking your routine or maybe just starting out, forget feeling overwhelmed by all the options. We're going to find out what truly makes a difference.
Oh, it absolutely does make all the difference. Foundation, it's fundamentally so much more than just slapping on some coverage. What our deep dive into these sources really shows is its power in creating this unified, kind of perfected canvas. Don't just think of it as a mask. It's more like a strategic tool that can really elevate any look, from everyday natural to full-on glam. And it also plays this critical role, often underestimated, I think, in stopping those common frustrations. Like, your makeup looking dull and tired by 3 p.m. A good base, chosen well and applied right, it just sets the tone for everything else you put on top.
Okay, let's unpack that idea. Foundation being transformative. Our sources jump right in, underscoring that a great foundation makes all the difference, not just for a big event, but for your daily confidence. It's about getting that fresh, consistent look that lasts all day. And crucially, like you said, preventing that dreaded afternoon dullness. We've all experienced that, right? You leave the house feeling amazing, and then a few hours later, you catch a glimpse and think, where did that glow go?
Exactly. And what's really fascinating, beyond just covering things up, is how foundation actually works to create that even canvas.
Yeah.
The research we looked at points to how it functions on a micro level. It subtly blurs uneven texture, diffuses light across the skin. It's almost like prepping a background for a painting, isn't it? This unified starting point makes sure your natural skin looks enhanced, not hidden. And it lets all your other makeup, blush, contour, highlight, it lets them perform properly, really stand out, gives them a solid stage to shine on.
Okay, now for the really fun part. The products themselves. Our sources consistently flag two foundations. They frame them nicely as like a classic high-end hero versus a really budget-friendly powerhouse with amazing CP value.
Yeah.
And just quickly, CP value is cost performance, basically getting incredible results for the money you spend. So these are perfect if you're thinking about switching things up or maybe just starting to build your foundation collection. All right, first up, let's put the spotlight on the Lancome Teint Idol Ultra Wear Foundation. Our deep dive shows this has been a top-rated, best-selling pick for years, consistently. What really jumped out at me was its unique promise of a zero powder feel. People seem to love that. It's celebrated not just for how it goes on, but for being super long-lasting and keeping that fresh, luminous finish all day long. I even saw notes about it being a popular gift. Apparently, friends who try it almost never switch. That says a lot, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
And what's insightful about the Lancome, when you dig into the formulation details, is how it manages that tricky balance. Our sources explain it uses this unique blend. It's got oil-absorbing polymers and hydrating agents. So that's not just marketing fluff. It's a real formulation strategy. The polymers work throughout the day, soaking up excess oil to stop shine and that dreaded oxidation. While the hydrating parts, things like specific glycerin derivatives, they keep the skin feeling supple so the foundation doesn't dry down and look cakey or flat. That's what gives it that skincare-like feel. It's actually working with your skin. And what's more, those non-comedogenic and safer-sensitive skin claims, they seem pretty well backed. It's often fragrance-free and avoids common irritants you find in some other foundations. So yeah, it's a solid choice for daily use. It's designed not to make skin worse or cause breakouts over time. And that no dullness promise, that consistency, it comes down to the advanced pigment technology. Basically, they use coated pigments that resist oxidizing and changing color. So while some foundations look great at first, but then turn kind of gray or orange later, Lancome is engineered to hold its true color and luminosity. Keep that initial glow going all day. It's pretty smart cosmetic chemistry, actually.
Wow, yeah, that deep dive into the formulation really explains why it works so well for so many people. Okay, so let's pivot now. From the high-end hero to a budget-friendly star, the Maybelline Fit Me Matte Plus Poreless Foundation. This one gets called a true cult favorite for makeup lovers watching their wallets, and you can see why. It promises a poreless matte cream finish, and apparently it really delivers on controlling oil and fighting dullness. The sources consistently call it a perfect starter pick because of that fantastic CP value we mentioned.
Right, and if we connect this back, you see both Lancome and Maybelline are tackling that afternoon dullness problem. But they do it with pretty different approaches, which leads to their different finishes. Lancome gets that luminosity from special pigment coatings and a hydrating base. Maybelline Fit Me, on the other hand, it relies more on a clever blend of micropowders. Think things like clay derivatives and silica. These ingredients actively absorb oil and blur imperfections. That's how it creates that soft focus matte cream effect. And the high CP value here, it's not just about being cheap. It's about smart ingredient choices, efficient manufacturing. It lets Maybelline deliver similar functional benefits like oil control, longwear that you'd expect from pricier options. But without the premium price tag that comes with, say, patented tech or fancy packaging, it really makes effective base makeup accessible. Great performance without needing a huge investment. It shows how far good formulations have come.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. Because, let's be honest, even the most amazing high-tech foundation can just fall flat if you don't apply it right. Our sources really dig into the crucial how-to, the application techniques that make all the difference, no matter which foundation you pick. This is where you really unlock that flawless potential.
Absolutely. And this brings us straight to the first step, which the sources hammer home as completely non-negotiable. Prep with
Yeah.
moisturizer. Seriously, this isn't just about making it feel nice, it's about creating the perfect surface. Proper hydration means a smoother, more even finish. And that goes for all skin types. By the way, dry, oily, combo, everyone. It plumps up the skin, makes it receptive, stops foundation clinging to dry bits or looking patchy. Think of your skin like a sponge, right? A damp sponge spreads liquid evenly. A dry one? Not so much. Same idea.
That makes total sense. Okay, and then it's about choosing the right tool. The guide suggests flat foundation brushes for like initial lightweight coverage and good blendability. Fine. But then, and this seems key, it keeps highlighting the power of blending with a damp sponge after that initial application for seamless coverage.
Yeah.
What is it about the damp sponge that's so magical?
It's all about how the product actually interacts with your skin. See, a damp sponge, because it's slightly absorbent but also soft and bouncy, it helps press the foundation into the skin rather than just sort of smearing it across the top. And the dampness means the sponge doesn't just soak up all your product, it distributes it more thinly, more evenly. That creates a much more natural, skin-like finish. It really melds with your complexion, avoids that mask look. And this leads perfectly into the next crucial technique, layering for coverage. The advice is always, apply thin layers. Build it up only where you need more coverage. Don't just slap on a thick coat everywhere. This way, you add coverage exactly where you want it, but it never feels heavy. It lets your natural skin peek through a bit. That's the secret to looking natural but still covered.
Got it. Thin layers, build as needed. And then finally, to lock it all in place and make sure that beautiful base lasts, setting your foundation. Our sources mention the usual suspects, loose powder, pressed powder, setting spray, and they all share the same goal, longer wear and oil control. That final, essential step to seal the deal.
Precisely. Setting creates this sort of physical barrier to help stop transfer, getting makeup on your phone or clothes, and it also absorbs any extra oil that might pop up during the day, which really prolongs that fresh look of your base.
Yeah.
Different methods offer different levels of mattifying or longevity, so you can kind of tailor the final finish to your skin and what you need that day.
Okay, so what does all this actually mean for you trying to navigate this, let's face it, often confusing world of foundations? We're going to try and demystify some of the most common questions, the things people get mixed up about, turn that potential info overload into clear, actionable takeaways from our deep dive.
Yeah, let's start with some key distinctions. These often trip people up first. Pressed powder versus foundation. Okay, so they both can give some coverage, but their main jobs are really different. Our sources explain pressed powder, the compact stuff. It's mainly for setting makeup, making it last longer, controlling shine, or for really light touch-ups on the go. Foundation, usually liquid or cream, that's designed for stronger coverage, really correcting skin tone. The core difference, it's in the pigment concentration and the binders used. Foundation has more pigment suspended in liquids or creams. Powder is more about pigment and binders designed to absorb oil and diffuse light.
Right, so pressed powder can give a sheer wash of color, maybe like a super light foundation. But like you said, its main gate is setting and touch-ups. Less staying power, less perfecting power than a dedicated liquid or cream base. Okay, what about another common comparison? BB cream versus foundation. How do they differ?
So the sources generally class BB cream as a kind of multitasking base makeup. It's fundamentally different from foundation in its purpose. BB creams usually bundle skincare benefits, often some SPF, and they offer lighter, sheerer coverage compared to most traditional foundations. Think of it like maybe a tinted moisturizer's slightly more advanced cousin. The finish is typically very natural, more of a your skin but better vibe. Foundation, though, is usually focused purely on giving you optimized coverage and correcting tone. It lets you layer your skincare and SPF underneath separately, customizing your routine. So it really is a trade-off. All-in-one convenience with BB cream versus specialized performance with foundation.
Moving on to personalizing your choice, because the goal is finding what works for your skin right here. Our guide keeps it pretty simple based on skin type. If you have dry skin, look for moisturizing, hydrating foundations. Makes sense. Oily skin. You'll probably want a matte, oil-controlling formula. And for combination skin, the advice is interesting. Strategically spot conceal problem areas, then use a reliable longwear foundation for the rest of your face for overall evenness.
And this leads us to maybe the single most critical part of personalizing, getting the shade right. The crucial advice for shade selection from our deep dive is unanimous. Match your neck. Always match your foundation to your neck, not just your face skin. That avoids the dreaded mask line. And beyond that, understanding your undertones is absolutely key. Generally, choose warm tones if your skin has yellow, golden, or peachy hints. Go for neutral or cool tones if your skin leans more reddish, pinkish, or even bluish. Getting this right makes the foundation truly blend seamlessly. It becomes part of your skin, not just a layer sitting on top. That's how you get that really authentic second skin look.
Okay, let's hit some essential troubleshooting and tips. Because we've all had those moments, right, when foundation just misbehaves. First up, the classic. Why does my foundation look cakey or flaky? Ugh.
Oh yeah, the cakey look. Super common. Our sources point to a few usual suspects here. Often it's down to insufficient skin prep, maybe not enough moisturizer, or using a primer that doesn't play well with your foundation formula. Other reasons: applying way too much product at once, not blending evenly, or just having underlying dry or peeling skin. The guide actually mentions that certain film-forming ingredients in foundations can cling to and emphasize dry patches if the skin isn't properly hydrated. That causes the flakiness. The fixes are pretty targeted, though. Improve your skincare routine consistently, make sure you're hydrating properly, and crucially use those damp tools, like a sponge, to press the product in, not drag it. And remember the layering. Thin layers help prevent cakiness too.
Right, thin layers. Good reminder. And what about that other big one we mentioned right at the start? Why does foundation sometimes look dull or change color during the day?
Yes. That's almost always down to oil oxidation. Basically, the natural oils on your skin react with the pigments in the foundation and the air. This reaction can cause the color to deepen or look kind of grayish and flat. Takes the life out of it. The sources do note that some foundations are just more prone to this than others, often because of the type of oils or emollients in their base formula. Another factor is not setting your makeup properly. That lets your skin's oils break through faster and mess with the foundation's appearance. Using an oil-controlling primer before foundation and then a setting powder designed to combat oxidation after can make a huge difference here.
Gotcha. Okay, quick one. Do I actually need to wet my foundation brush? I feel like I've heard conflicting things.
Generally, no. Brushes are really designed to be used dry. That helps them pick up and deposit the product precisely where you want it. However, our deep dive keep coming back to the damp sponge. That gives a noticeably smoother, more natural finish, especially if you use it after maybe applying with a brush, just to blend and perfect everything. So for that really refined, seamless, skin-like look, the damp sponge is definitely your friend.
Okay, damp sponge it is for blending. And finally, who should really be using pressed powder? Is it for everyone?
Pressed powder is particularly great for people with oily or combination skin. Anyone who needs to control shine during the day, basically. Or, for quick touch-ups when you're out and about, just to blot away excess oil. It's also good for anyone who just prefers a really lightweight, almost invisible finish, maybe for a minimal makeup day. But there's a key caution from the sources. If you have dry or mature skin, be careful. Traditional matte powders can sometimes settle into fine lines or make dry texture look worse, contributing to that cakey look we want to avoid. So if your skin is drier, look specifically for hydrating powder formulas, maybe ones that mention things like emollients or hyaluronic acid.
Good tip. And for all you travelers listening, a little bonus travel question answered by the guide. Can you take cushion foundation on a plane?
Yes, absolutely you can. Cushion foundations are generally treated as either solid or small liquid products. As long as the liquid part is under the usual 100 milliliter carry-on limit, which they almost always are, they're perfectly fine in your carry-on bag. So no need to leave your favorite easy application base at home when you fly. They're designed for convenience, even up in the air.
Wow. Okay, we have definitely covered a lot of ground today. Hopefully you feel like you've got a much better handle on choosing the right foundation now. From understanding those popular high-end and budget picks to really mastering the application techniques that make such a difference, and importantly, feeling ready to troubleshoot those common issues like dullness or caking. You can turn those frustrations into flawless fixes. It means you're truly equipped now to get that perfected look you're after with real confidence and know-how.
Yeah, and this kind of brings up an interesting final thought for you, our listener, maybe reflect on after this deep dive.
Mm.
We've spent a lot of time talking about what makes a foundation technically flawless, right? The finish, the wear, the ingredients. But maybe take a step back from the product itself. What does flawless truly mean to you personally when it comes to your own skin, your own makeup? How does this deeper understanding of foundation maybe empower you to achieve your personal ideal of flawless, whatever that looks like for you? Something reflecting not just, perfect skin, but your inner confidence too.
That's a great question to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope you feel super well informed and ready to conquer your foundation journey with some newfound expertise. We'll catch you next time.